Hello, this is Carrington from the Retro Computing Roundtable, and like my co-hosts, I'm recording a short video to show you the audio setup I use to record my third of our podcast. It's the best third. So I use a Heil PR40 microphone, a Heil shock mount, and boom arm. The boom arm I use is the Heil PR2T. I'll have links to all the different products, the mixer, that kind of stuff, down below the video in case you're looking for something similar. The Heil PR40 is an XLR microphone, so I run it into a mixer, and from the mixer it goes into a MacBook Pro. It's a front fire microphone, so you speak down into the tip, not side fire. A lot of microphones of this shape, you speak into the sides of them, but not this one. So it's important to speak into the correct portion of a microphone. I say that as someone who has made that mistake before. So the pop filter here is not actually a Heil brand. I can't remember where I got this from or what brand it is. I'll look it up. It's something that is advertised as being for the PR40, but it doesn't quite fit it. I don't know if you can see, but there's a ring here with some sponge underneath that clamps around the microphone, and on the PR40 it doesn't quite reach, doesn't quite close, so I found that the screw that ships with it was too short. I had to go and fetch a different screw, but just get a longer, I think it was a number 6 screw, and then it attaches quite nicely. I have terrible microphone technique, and so because of that I need to use a shock mount and I need to use a pop filter. The shock mount is important because I tend to flail my hands around when I talk or when I get angry at Earl, which is, let's face it, most of the show. So I thump the desk, and if I didn't have a shock mount, those thumps, the vibrations would come right down the arm directly into the microphone, be like I'm pinging it. So I'm the sort of guy who needs to use a shock mount. The pop filter's there because, again, with my poor microphone technique, I pop my plosives. So words like chicken and popcorn, a puff of air will go right into the microphone. It sounds quite loud to the listener. The pop filter helps disperse that breath of air. They come as metal shields like this one is, and also as nylon. I generally prefer the nylon ones, which will usually come as 2 layers, and I find they work better. But aesthetically, this one just goes so well with the microphone. I picked looks over sound. Maybe not the best choice when it comes to an audio decision, but there you go. Like I said, the Heil is an XLR microphone, so it has this big XLR cable. The Heil boom arm, I believe they make at least 2 different ones, and the difference between them is whether or not they'll have this channel. I'm going to show you. This comes off, and the cable can just tuck in there away. And that's nice aesthetically, but more, again, for somebody like me who flails his arms around, it means I don't have a cable on the ground. When the microphone's up like this, in speaking position, I don't have a cable that I might catch when I'm moving around or when I'm typing. I generally have the MacBook Pro set right in front of me for notes and for recording during the show. I'm not actually recording into the Heil at the moment. I'm using a Rode lavalier microphone plugged directly into my iPhone with an XLR to iPhone adapter, and I have the Ollie clip on the iPhone at the moment to make it wide angle, in case you're wondering why everything looks a little bowl-shaped. So when I'm recording the show, I listen to the other guys, on those few occasions when I care what they say. I use these Audio Technica headphones. They're the ATH-M30. They're okay, I like them. They are quite comfortable. They're not massive, and they do a pretty good job of not leaking sound where the microphone can pick it up. That's really what I worry about when I'm listening to a show as I'm recording, that I'm not feeding back the other host's voices back to them. Often instead of these, I'll just wear a set of foam earbuds, or sometimes even just the one earbud, and I find that's a little more comfortable for the long shows. The Heil microphone has a very nice sound to it, but it's also very low level. And because of that, I used to run directly into a mixer, and I'd have to boost the gain all the way up. So I now use a preamp, then a mixer, and then it goes from there into the MacBook Pro. So come around the corner here, and I will show you my preamp setup. So here is the preamp and mixer setup that I use to record RCR. On the left there is the Tube MP, that's the preamp. I used to plug the microphone directly into the mixer, but I found that the signal from the Heil PR40 is so low that I had to boost the microphone gain on the mixer almost all the way full, and it introduced a lot of hiss. I get a much cleaner sound by going into a preamp first to raise the levels, and then into the mixer, and barely having to boost it at all from that point. Here in the mixer, which is a Mackie Onyx 820i firewire mixer, channel 1 is used for my microphone, and then channels 2 through 8 are used for various other things, some for different podcast setups than the RCR. For RCR, I basically just use channel 1. You'll see that the levels there bouncing up and down. The level meter is quite low, but that's because I'm not speaking directly into the microphone. If I went over and tapped the Heil, you can see the levels go a lot higher. And that's pretty much it. I mean, that is the total setup that I use to record my third of the show. Microphone into preamp, preamp into mixer, mixer into the MacBook Pro. At that end, I record the show using 2 different pieces of software at the same time. Right in Skype itself, I use Call Recorder, which records to a movie, so it's a bit of a kludge, a little awkward to work with, by which I mean it sucks, but it's functional. And I also use Rogue Amoeba's Piezo, and I like that very much. Piezo can run at the exact same time as Call Recorder, so on the same computer you can be making 2 identical recordings at once, so you have an instant backup, and that's convenient. If I was the only person recording, I would also plug a digital recorder or something into the mixer, so I could make a recording completely separate from the computer, just in case things go horribly wrong, because things often go horribly wrong. But I'm really just the backup recording. David does the master record, and there's only been one time where we've had to fall back on the recording that I use. So the one I'm making is more of a safety net, so I figure the 2 recordings directly on the MacBook Pro should be suitable. And that's it. That's the entirety of the setup. I just sit down, read the notes, and make up nonsense. I count on the other 2 guys to do all the actual research and work in the show, and that works out well for me. I hope you have enjoyed looking at the setup. If you have any questions, when I first got into podcasting, I used to have tons of questions about how to hook this stuff up. And I'll happily share what I've learned so far. So if you do have questions, just leave a comment below, or you can send feedback to us directly at the show at feedback@RCRpodcast.com. And for now, I'm going to get back to my gaming, and I'll see you guys soon.